Yo, Warrior in my class is, in my opinion, the most fun class in the game. And I'm kind of just going to give you guys like a one-on-one crash course on Warrior. I'm not going to be talking about any specific like subclasses in detail because, you know, different subclasses would be more optimal with certain builds, of course. But I'm going to be giving you guys just like general tips, general gear to use, and like what moves are best and all that. Although, I will say that Berserker is by far the best PvE subclass for Warrior. The sustain you get is just unmatched, so if you do want to just use something really strong in PvE, then Berserker is the one for you. But you can make that choice yourself, as in what subclass you want to go. I'm going to be talking about Warrior today. First, I'm going to be talking about moves, right? This is very important. Now, first thing I want to talk about is Aegis Battle Aura. This, by far, is the best Battle Aura. I see a lot of people going Savage Battle Aura or the Warrior one, and these are fine, but Aegis is just too strong, and especially with Warrior. Now, if we look at Aegis, during the standard amount, and what it does is, it gives you a shield, like this bubble shield, for 10 seconds, right? 200 damage. Now, this is good by itself, just to shield 200 damage for 8 seconds, like you're pretty much invincible for 10 seconds, but that's not it. If you look, right, with Warrior, or with any Warrior class, you're going to be building a ton of armor, and with that you get a ton of DR. This isn't even taking into account your race, like DR, right? If you're half golem, for example. But this 200 HP that you get shielded from is even more. If you take 30% of 200, I'm pretty sure that's, what, 270, 275, something like that. So, in reality, it's not actually 200 HP. It's more, right? Which is really, really strong. So, by far, the best battle aura, in my opinion, for Warrior is Aegis. Now, if you're on something like a ninja class and you want to deal high DPS, then, in that case, yes, you would go a battle aura that gives you damage. But every Warrior class should be going Aegis, and I really don't see people using it, which is interesting. Now, the next moves I'm going to be highlighting are just the moves that are kind of must on Warrior. These are Counter, Mortal Strike, and Hindsight Slash. Now, Whirlwind is really good, but you don't need it. I'm more so saying that these four are your bread and butter, and you could use Whirlwind a lot if you want to, right? Now, Mortal Strike is one of the upgrades to, I think, like Piercing Strike. I think that's what the move's called. You get it very early on, but it is really good. Cuts healing and does good damage, and as you can see, it's really fast, right? Counter is just by far, it's probably your best physical, like, combat move in the game, or in your kit. And you saw right there, you just enter a stance, and then you'll do upwards of, I think, like 60 damage. And the reason it's so good is because of how long the counter stance lasts for, right? You can use the upgrade to counter, which is greater, or counter force. It's good. I use it personally. But if you can't fit it into your hotbar, then you don't need to be using it. You should be always using Focus 3 and Focus 2, considering the amount of drain you have. And then for the rest, it's honestly kind of preference. Obviously, if you're a Greatsword, use two-hand. If you're a Sword, then use Sword Mastery. But I like to use Leap, get some nice mobility. And then I use 2 of my subclass slots, right? Actually, no, I don't. I dropped Bloodthirst, but I use 1 subclass slot. Depending on what subclass you use, you might be using 2 or 3. Me personally, I use 1, right? So this lets me be able to use things like Greater Counter if it's my, or no, my bad. I was referencing this as Greater Counter, but yeah, when I was talking about Greater Counter, I was talking about this, but this is also good. For Berserker specifically, you should be running this move right now, Counter Force, to get more damage during Harp Armor. And then the last 2 moves are kind of just preference. I use Focus Training, the first one, and then I use Plague Breath, as it's really good for bosses, right? But yeah, the last 5 moves you use in your hotbar are kind of preference, but I would just say that these 4 moves are definitely necessary, and these should be the moves that you're using the most, right? Like off cooldown. Now next, I'm going to be talking about gear. The gear I have on right now is probably the most accessible for Berserker. Crab Carapace, personally, I think is better for Berserker than the War Troll chestplate, which I'm going to show you right now. That's kind of the alternative. It's right here. So you see the crab chest piece gives more armor, gives less strength, less stamina, and it has a speed debuff. But I think the more armor and the fact that Aegis plus 12 Spirit is better for Berserker, considering health regen on Berserker will benefit you more than having like more stamina directly, right? And more strength, because you get a damage buff as a Berserker anyways. In terms of your boots, War Troll boots are the best boots in the game. Although for your helmet, there is a better helmet, and this is from this quest right here. The Hodar quest that is repeatable every hour is by far better. And in terms of chest piece, this isn't the best chest piece. I just think it's the most like accessible, especially like early mid game, level 28 you could see. But the best chest piece, I'm gonna put up right now on the Trello, is definitely the turtle shell, and this drops from the second boss in the Coliseum. The stats are pretty insane, honestly. You can see it right here, right here. So it gives 1,000 armor. You can't really see that well. Hold on. It gives 1,000 armor, 28 strength, 8 stamina, 10 crit chance, and 10 magic resist. This guy got insane rune slots on it, but you won't get this normally. But this is by far the best chest piece. Although getting it is a whole nother story. It would be very hard for you to do so, as not only is it a rare drop, but the boss itself is hard too. Cape, just use champion cape, is the best cape for warrior. And then in terms of rings, it's kind of preference. If you're berserker, you need this ring right here. Ring of Vitality is also, I would say, a must. You could use a warrior's ring if you want to, although I like Floss's ring, and purely because of like boss fights, right? And I also like piercing band. Now lastly, talk about weapons. Depending on what you use, like if it's a great sword or if you're using a like normal sword, the boss drops in the Coliseum generally will give you the best drops, the 2 bosses. In terms of great sword, Drogar, which is the first boss, will give you the best great sword drop. And then in terms of sword, the second boss, forgot his name, it's also too hard to pronounce, will give you the best sword. Most of his that guy's drops are just the best for warrior. But yeah, that's pretty much it for warrior. It's a pretty simple class. You kind of just stack damage resistance with high heavy armor, a lot of sustain. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Again, make sure you're using Aegis Slash. This move, or not Aegis Slash, Aegis Battle Aura. This is by far the best battle aura. Everybody should be running this. 10 seconds of invincibility. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like and subscribe. Peace.